I would say that it was a challenge for me because we were no longer creating this. I wasn't entering into this agreement to make silent acknowledgement as a community. I consulted with them, but I didn't have their assistance. And then we're not doing this casually as a community in the sense of time. I say casually as far as time, right? There was a very, I should say, pre-agreed upon frame of time that I had to do it in. And so I had to stick to that, and plus we're indoors, so there's no influences for me to grab. Usually when I'm painting, when I paint or do other things, I'm drawing from the experience of that day. You know, if I see something, I say, oh, that's part of it, you know? Because that's the literacy, that's the land, the earth, nature speaking to us, right? It's speaking to us. And what do? We document it. That's what this is, right? It's a document. And so that was one of the challenges, is to be in this room, it's dark, and there are limited, I guess, influences for us to draw from as culture bearers, right? And then the other thing of not being around my people, which obviously we're a different culture, so the museum people culture is very different, right? They act different. I won't go into that, right? But it's a very different experience for me because of those reasons. In addition, this is a context where it's highly contained, or it's supposed to be, right? And in the sense that the nature, when we create them out there in these places, the nature will eventually take away the sand. And I've seen it, a ground squirrel go through it, and you know, all that stuff, right? The wind, the rain, all that stuff. And so that was one of the main things that really stuck with me, that we took it out of the context. And I hesitated too a bit, because I know that sand paintings in general are very, very important, very, very sacred, very, very hands-off. But at the same time, I was wrestling with this challenge of us being included in this exhibition, because we weren't at that point apart. And I'm not just saying us, me, I'm saying as an entire culture, there was nobody here that was speaking to this, to the people from here, from the basin, from LA. And so that was an important part of it. And I also thought that the theme of the sun was absent of the fire conversation, when it's very rational to understand that the sun is a big part of the fire kinship relationship, right? That's a big part of it. And that's some of the consultation that I got from my community, was that, hey, the sun, right? Damn it, has to be in there. And so that's navigating all those things is what really was the challenge. It's not just one. It was like this, you know, this culmination of all those challenges. But I'm up to it. I was up to it. The last challenge, I would say, was the physical one. It's very physical. So there are a lot of points where you have to basically paint and for several hours, right, hunched over in full concentration. So you can't be answering the phone. You can't be, I mean, you can, but sand acknowledgement will make you pay, in the sense that it'll show up, because it has a life of its own. That's what I know. At some point, I bring stuff in here, I do whatever over there, but at some point it takes on a life of its own. It has its own inertia, its own presence, right? Away from me. It has nothing to do with me. It's about nature. It's about understanding, intellectually understanding ourselves as humans in relationship to nature. And so that I think was the real goal of all this, was to bring that to light. And that's the purpose or reason I was willing to bring it into this exhibition, even though it belongs out in nature, right? Because the sand is going to go back to nature. The rocks, we will go back to nature. Everything will go back. So that was the biggest challenge, was figuring out the physical aspects, the do's and don'ts of our how and whys of all of this, and then how to bring that awareness to the public, because in other experiences, most people would never come in contact with these type of ideas or practices or anything like that.